Warning, incoming game over. Warning, incoming game over.
Bonsoir, nos amis. Welcome to Game Over Montreal. Bonsoir, nos amis. Welcome to Game Over Montreal. I'm Jordan Hashi. With us today is Andrew Berkshire. The Habs take down the Canucks 6-3 in a big game. Looked a little bit rough there in the second period, but the Habs had a very strong third to close it out. Andrew, how you feeling about the game tonight?
I'm feeling very positive, Jordan. I was a little bit nervous when the Canucks tied it up at 3-3, just because those kinds of games where you play great and things just go against you just feel bad. But I was kind of like just reasoning in my head as the game was going on, being like, you know what? I'm fine with a good process game. I can accept losses. Losses happen. But I'm so glad that they pulled it out because it feels much better talking about a win.
Yeah, it was giving me some of that Lightning game vibes from a few weeks ago. But I think the
Yes.
difference is that Canucks aren't good, so it's they're not gonna close you out. If you put a fight back up against them, they're not really gonna close you out. And as they sit last in the league, they're still there. Montreal with a good win overall, a pretty good game and a huge game from Alex Carrier, who put up 2 goals. I was hoping he would get the hat trick. I was really trying or really rooting for it, but it didn't quite happen. But a really strong game from him.
Yeah, he was fantastic. And we're going to get into all the details of the game in our first period. We're going to talk about how the defense led the way here tonight, how dominant of a win it was over the Canucks. Second segment, we're going to talk about a couple of the, I don't want to say negatives, but the other side of tonight where it kind of went a little bit awry, not for the whole team, just for a couple players. And then in the third segment, Jordan and I were chatting before the show, and we thought, we kind of want to talk about that Slavkovsky Demidov Kapanen line. And there's good things about it, there's bad things about it, but man, did they ever come up huge today. So we've got a great show for you. Stick with us. And I guess, Jordan, we'll be right back with the first segment after we hear from a sponsor. Here we go.
At the famous chateau at 4000 Rue Saint-Ambroise lies one of Montreal's coolest secrets, a glamorous Gothic jewelry store owned and run by women. Inchu Bijou isn't just a business. They've built a community that supports bold creativity and expression. When I was first introduced to founder Astrid Episegomian's shop, I was floored by the detail, vision, and scale of what she's built from her own mind. I don't think anyone would call me goth, but I know an innovator when I see one. Along with building their own business, Inchu Bijou also hosts markets for vendors in their space called Marché Maleficarum, boosting their whole community. If you don't live in Montreal, explore inchubijou.com, where you'll find over 800 designs that range from affordable to bespoke. Check out Inchu Bijou right now, a Game Over partner from the beginning.
Welcome back to Game Over Montreal. I am Andrew Berkshire, your host with Jordan Hashi, who is helping us out here at Game Over, our newest member of the team. So actually, I don't think we have it in the description yet. I got to get that from you, Jordan, your social media stuff, so that we can get everybody following you. But just for those who are here today and who might be new to you, what's your favorite social media of choice? And tell them where they can follow you. Your mic got muted on you.
Yeah, sorry about that. I'm on Instagram and on Blue Sky at JHashi Radio. You can find me there. I've super excited to be here. Andrew did a couple streams a few weeks ago. Now we're back. I was sick last week. I would have hopped on once or twice, but we're ready. I'm super excited to get going with you guys, and huge win today gets me even more excited. In the chat, someone said, Outrage said, and what a bonsoir it is. Yeah, great win for the guys. And Zachary Dion, I guess he knew what we were going to talk about too. He's talking about how Slav's a beast. So excited to get this rolling. And a great win.
Yeah, 100%. I see Marky Sinkata in the chat says experienced Canucks hockey. He's a friend of ours, a teammate of ours from Game Over Vancouver. And I'm sorry, Marky, that was rough. It's the same as I felt when we were talking to the Calgary folks. Is the Canadiens gave the fastball tonight, and I'm kind of wishing that we got to play teams in the West a little bit more often. It seems, because holy have they ever been dominating the Western teams lately, whether it was on a road trip or at home. It's been very impressive work from the Montreal Canadiens. And while the last game against Detroit was not an impressive game, the signal more than the noise has been a huge uptick from the Canadiens in terms of how well they're playing at 5-on-5 and basically the results that they're earning. They are playing excellent hockey right now. Probably the best that we've seen from them in this era.
Yeah, it's been a lot of games where if you're watching the game and you're noticeably seeing that the Canadians are dominating the other side. It's been really strong hockey overall, and I think since that Texier switch, that's because for the first time you have that Demidov, Slavkovsky, and Kapanen line absolutely rolling, and then now that you got Texier up there and he's starting to gel with the other two guys on the first line, you really have two lines that are genuine strong lines in your top six, and then you have at least a solid enough bottom six right now with Danault manning the third line to where they're deep, and if you get a good game from one of the lines, that's scary. But if you get a game from two of both their top lines, that's even scarier, and that's what we saw today.
Yeah, it's really nuts. And Texier I haven't really, it's weird that I feel like I haven't really talked about the guy on the shows recently, despite the fact that he's ripping it up. And once again, a really strong night from him tonight, offensively and defensively. He had some great moves even on the penalty kill tonight, where he was breaking up plays. Not that there was a lot of penalty killing to do, only 2 in the third period, but overall, just whatever they're asking him to do, he's doing very well. And with that top line, they were utterly dominant tonight, and that hasn't been a rare occurrence. They've been really great since they've been put together.
Yeah, he's been huge. I was looking at some stats before this game today, and their line was at 63.5% expected goals on money puck. They've been really strong, and the offensive expected goals are slightly higher than with Bolduc, but the defense is a lot stronger. And I think part of that as well is just they're not losing the puck in the offensive zone as often. Maybe they're keeping the cycle alive. You're not going to get an expected goal from keeping the cycle alive all the time. But what you are going to do is definitely lower your chance of a defensive zone rush back the other way. And they've done that very, very effectively. They were pretty dominant today. I had multiple notes in every single period about that line, just possessing the puck in the offensive zone. And Cole Caulfield, he was a little bit cold for a while, but I think he's starting to wake up here, and I think he's going to want to have a strong play all the way up to the Olympics, and I think that will happen.
Yeah, and the thing about Caulfield that's really encouraging now is when he has a cold streak in terms of finishing, it doesn't make you think that he's struggling anymore.
Yeah.
Because he brings so many other tools to the game, whether it's, his back checking, his defensive play, his breakups in the neutral zone, his playmaking ability. He's just become so much more of a versatile player that it's hard to really ever be disappointed in the guy. It's really impressive work what him and Suzuki have put together, and now Slavkovsky on the second line as well. They're kind of the straws that stir the drink, I guess you would say, but not to take anything away from Demidov anyway. But we'll talk about that line more later on. Tonight, we wanted to talk a bit about how much the defense led the offense tonight. And I know Jordan specifically wanted to have a moment to talk about one Lane Hutson, who, again, was utterly spectacular tonight and seems to be treating us every single game to a new level of performance, a new level of just absolute dominance, whether it's offensively or defensively. Did you see the quote that Martin St. Louis had about him earlier today?
I didn't get a chance to see that.
Okay, it was great. I'm not going to quote the whole thing, but basically he was talking about how good Hutson is in terms of his anticipation and reading the play, and how he's able to leverage that to be a great defensive defenseman, even if he's not big. And he was saying he's going to take the puck from other players different than a 6'3" defenseman would. But it's at the point now, St. Louis said, that he doesn't even really tell him what to do. He just lets Lane Hutson figure out situations and choose the best play, because he's pretty much always going to choose the best play. And yeah, if you got a coach out there saying that about you, I think that's a pretty good sign.
Yeah, he's utterly, utterly ridiculous. Ramelli says, "What are you talking about? Guerin said he's not a good defensive player." Well, I have got some 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 cherries to pick with Bill Guerin, because today I'm watching this game and said to myself, "How the hell is this guy not on Team USA?" I mean, he is genuinely the most creative player I've ever watched. And I know
Yeah.
I'm not that old. I'm not that old, but he is. Just
Yeah.
every time he has the puck high in the offensive zone, when another defenseman would try to shoot or try to make one quick move and shoot it through traffic or dump it around off the boards, he does a shimmy shake that works 90% of the time, where he'll fake one way, fake another way, spin off you by. In the first period, he broke someone's ankles. He does it. He walks the blue line so incredibly flawlessly. And after he loses the puck, once in a while he will, like I said, right? But he touches the puck so much, eventually you're going to lose it. But you're talking about how what Marty said, he knows that what the right play to make is. Well, I think every time he loses the puck, he back checks so well. And he turns on the jets. He's an extremely fast player, and he'll get right in the face of the defender and just catch right up to them, even if it's on his partner's side. I've noticed that. It's that when he's on his partner's side, it doesn't matter. He'll just catch the defender off guard, and especially because the forward driving through the neutral zone, he's like, okay, I've got a defender ahead of me. I'm ready for it. But bang, Hudson's right in your face on the back check. And it's not even the third forward, the third high forward that you expect when a defenseman is the one playing the puck, right? It's just ridiculous. And I think one thing that comes to me, like for the future for Lane Hudson, for his long-term D partner, it needs to be someone. I don't think it necessarily has to be someone insanely good. They just have to be a good communicator, because
Yes.
Hudson, the way he pinches in the zone and back checks is extremely effective. But if he's not on the same page with his other defensemen, he will, take out their traditional positioning, and that may cause some issues. But you saw it today with Carrier. I think Carrier did a good job at backing off, and he's rewarded as well with 2 goals.
Yeah, it was phenomenal. And like, frankly, I think what works so well with Carrier with Lane Hudson is Carrier is a guy who he's not going to necessarily drive play for you. Like, he's not going to be the main guy, but he's very good at reading and reacting. And he seems to have a really good eye for like jumping in and supporting exactly where a partner needs it. And one of the things that he's really good at is just keeping plays alive or stopping them in the defensive zone. He's like a stopper in one end, and it just keeps things going in the offensive end. He's not necessarily going to make the most incisive pass, but the skill of just like keeping the puck alive and getting it to a teammate, even in not a dangerous position where they can reorganize and get things going, just creates another opportunity for Lane Hudson, right? And every time that you can do that is a win, as far as I'm concerned. And I remember when they were put together, there was a lot of like consternation or worry that it wasn't going to work because Lane Hudson is small and Carrier is small. Can we put that to bed yet?
Yes.
Like I feel like it's 2026. We don't really need to be talking about size as a determining factor in the NHL anymore.
Go get some REM
There
sleep
are
on that one.
Yeah. Like there's advantages that size brings in terms of being able to overpower somebody when you are near the puck. Reach definitely matters. However, if you can skate better than the other guy, it kind of neutralizes most of that. And if you've got good leverage, good balance, it's not often that you get pushed off the puck. Like you watch, even like Cole Caulfield doesn't get pushed off the puck very often. He's probably got some of those tree trunk legs that Marty St. Louis had, but like the small players on this team play big. And that's what's more important than the actual height or weight.
Yeah, and to Caulfield's, the point of Caulfield, yeah, I think it's been notable for how he's played since really he started in the league. I noticed he doesn't get pushed around. He can take big hits and stuff, but he doesn't get pushed around on the ice. He's very effective at using his edges. He has very nice balance, and that's really all you need. I don't think this isn't a league where you need to be the biggest guy anymore. This is a league predicated on skill and speed and IQ, frankly now, and it's really it makes better hockey. It does, and it's great to see that players like Lane Hudson just exist. He doesn't exist
Yeah.
on Team USA, but that they exist. And yeah, Outreach says you need hands to go with feet. Yeah, you definitely do. And guess what? Caulfield, Hudson, they have it, and Gallagher used to have it when he was the other small player on this team.
Yep, 100%. And the fact is, like, the defense that the Canadiens have put together is a very modern defense. Like, you hear some people say, like, oh, well, will they be able to succeed in the playoffs because they don't have, like, the big guys that box out? But Noah Dobson's not small or weak. Mike Matheson is not small or weak. Arbor Xhekaj still exists. Caden Gooley, bit of a rough night for him tonight, but he still exists. Like, Hudson is small, but Hudson doesn't really get muscled around that much, to be honest. And Carrier is small, but Carrier, man, pound for pound, has to be one of the toughest guys in the league, at least in terms of taking hits to make a play, because that's another thing that, like, he sacrifices the body to the point that I don't understand how he's ever healthy. Like, he just takes mega hits. Although tonight there was a couple times where he took a hit to make a play, and it was like a soft hit. And whenever he gets hit and it's like not a huge hit, his facial expression is like, you wuss. Like, you couldn't even knock me down. I'm Alex Carrier. I'm going to just keep going. And it's hilarious to me. I really like the guy, and I'm glad to see him get a game like this because he does so many things well, and he can pinch into the offensive zone. He actually produces a fair amount for the amount of minutes that he plays and being a defenseman, not getting power play time. But he never really gets credit for being like a very offensive minded defenseman. But watching him game by game, like, he doesn't hesitate to pinch in. He makes good plays to keep plays alive. He's just not a Hudson, Dobson, or Matheson.
Yeah, every maybe 3 games or so, he gets absolutely rocked.
Yep.
But yeah, he does the right things. And by the way, the cost was Justin Barron, who is even on Nashville anymore. Who knows, man? He was not a good hockey player for Montreal. Well, a great hockey player, not a good NHL player for Montreal, at the very least. And just what a trade, man! What a trade! And it's a luxury, and especially moving into the future. I think is he like 28 years old? Is he that young? Like, moving into the future, if he's in your bottom pair,
it's not bad. Right? Like, it's a pretty great situation to be in. And that's with more players coming, right? Like, we talked about Adam Engstrom this season, how good he's looked. We haven't even really touched on David Reinbacher that much because it just hasn't been necessary. He's having a good little year in Laval, and the Canadiens are in a position where they don't need him to make the jump right away, which is perfect. That's exactly what you need from a defenseman who's had a lot of injuries and missed a lot of development time. Now his runway is extended just by virtue of how good the Canadiens have built their defensive core. They don't need him to jump in before he's ready. That's ideal. That's exactly what you need.
Yeah, and Ramelli says, ideally, I'd say Carrier should not be in our top 6 once the window is open. If he's still playing as well as he is now, then probably not. I would disagree with that because I think he's a very good bottom 6 or as third pair defenseman, and he says I love him, but he makes a lot of mistakes. I mean, once in a while, but I don't know if I necessarily would say he makes a lot of mistakes. And a few times, like, he knows he has to play a certain physical way to take hits, and once in a while he won't take it the best, and that will result in like him making not the best play. I get what you're saying there, but I wouldn't say that he makes an like above average number of mistakes or anything.
No, I wouldn't say that either. I mean, maybe above average for like a top pair defenseman, which is kind of the role that he's playing right now, because no offense to Dobson or Matheson, I feel like the top four is Lane Hudson and someone, and Dobson and Matheson, and who is the top pair can kind of change game by game. But right now, Hudson has been so great that you can't, like, there's no argument that he isn't the Canadiens' number one defenseman right now. Not that it really matters. Like, it's a meaningless term because they can kind of throw out whoever they want, whatever game situation, and match teams that way. But man, has he ever been excellent. But the defense led the way tonight. I feel like watching on socials, when the Canadiens got their one power play of the game and they needed a goal, you really needed the power play to not be bad. And the coaching staff throws Dobson out there instead of Lane Hudson. And you could feel Habs fans being like, what the hell is this? And then immediately Dobson's like, I'm going to score.
Yeah.
Like 3 seconds, he rips one. And Matheson got one too at the start of the third period that kind of got the Canadiens going beyond what they did in the first two periods, which was good, but not good enough to have a lead because, frankly, things went against them a little bit. So defense was huge tonight.
Yeah, I thought that Dobson play was just vintage Dobson.
Yep.
He gets a ridiculous amount of space, by the way, when he gets the puck. You could have flown a plane through the space that Dobson had there, and I was screaming at the TV to shoot, and he shot the puck and he scored. So there you go. That's why I'm on this show, guys, because they shoot when I tell them to, even though I told Slav to shoot when he made that pass to Carrier on his second goal. But we're not going to talk about that. We are going to talk about Dobson shoots a lot, and he's smart about it too most of the time. And he saw the space. Like, there's no denying that he had the space there, and bang. And that was huge and was so important.
Yeah. Ramelli says, Arpon Basu and Marc-Antoine Godin on their pod today said, no chance Dobson plays PP1 anytime soon. Things change real quick, and I don't think that's like, they're not going to put Dobson out there permanently. I'm pretty sure Hudson was at the end of a long shift when they got that power play.
I wouldn't hate them trying Dobson and Hudson. I really wouldn't, because I feel like you don't have to stay on the 1-3-1 all the time. I think it'll have to depend on what type of penalty kill they're getting, but having Dobson up top just as a big shooting threat, I think could be pretty helpful and just open stuff up. Keep the other team guessing, because no one's shooting on the power play right now anyway. Get him to shoot, and I think that could help. Like, don't do it every time, but the cool thing is this is like the first time in years that we're saying, oh, you can switch up the power play, and it would work, and it would not only work, but it could add to their power play by making it more dynamic in different ways.
Yeah, that is like the embarrassment of riches in a way that the Canadiens are putting together, is that they can make multiple different functional power plays that are all good and attack in different ways. And that's beyond exciting. And I think we've seen some of that from St. Louis this year, where he'll tinker around and people get upset. Like, why is Bolduc back on the first line or first power play line, like in the middle there? And it worked early in the season, hasn't really worked since. But they're experimenting during the year, because I think when it comes to the playoffs, they want to be able to throw different looks out there. And I think we'll probably see some mixing and matching of the pairings as well, especially now that Hudson and Carrier look so good together. Because I expect eventually Gouli will probably move back up there and he'll play on his offside instead of Hudson, because Hudson's been so strong on his natural left side. But there's just so many permutations of this roster that can function. And the fact that they've been able to like have their best stretch of the season with all the injuries that they have, it just continues to astound me, honestly.
Yeah, it's been incredible.
And I saw there was a question earlier on in the chat from King of the North asking if I had prepared my look at his big ass go play of the game, which I guess could be applied to anyone, but I've been just thinking it's a Slav thing, right? Because his big ass is the one that's always doing the big ass go. And for me, it was the neutral zones shift in the third period. I believe it was the Kapanen goal, where Slav is like dead to rights. He's flat-footed. He's around two different players on the Canucks. He doesn't have the puck, but he gets it, and then he just, from a full stop, moves around both of them. One of them kind of, I think, dropped their stick, and then gets on his horse, barrels into the offensive zone, gives the puck to Demidov, and Demidov lays a gorgeous pass through the middle right to Kapanen, and Kapanen makes no mistake. He gets his goal. He finally gets one after having so many chances tonight. That's my one for look at his big ass go of the game, was all Uri Slavkovsky in the neutral zone. He's just next level right now.
Yeah, I like King of the North's carry on the second goal. 2 defenders draped all over him, and he was still able to stop perfectly to avoid the goalie as well. That was a really good one. But yeah, Kapanen could have had 4 goals. Yeah, he could have. He should have had at least 2. Like realistically, but especially that one where he just didn't raise the puck. I thought he really should have buried that. But I mean, still, he's getting in the right places. You're not going to bury everything every day. He's at the end of the day, he's a rookie, and his shooting percentage has been relatively high. So I wouldn't be too concerned about that. But he's been pretty good. Dobson driving to the net early in the second. Oh yeah.
Oh, that was a good one.
That was actually really good because he got a terrible pass in his feet by Suzuki, and I was like, oh, I was like, oh crap! Like they're going back the other way, and then somehow he kicked it perfectly to himself and nearly scored. Yeah, that one was nice.
Yeah, it was really great. There's so much good to talk about in this game.
Yeah.
It's hard to even get to it all because, man, the Canadiens were phenomenal. They were full value tonight. The exact kind of performance you want to see after a bit of a listless one against Detroit. And I think it might have been Romelli in the chat earlier saying that the game against Detroit wasn't as bad as the score looked. And I agree. I think officiating had a lot to do with how that score ended up. By the fact that they just didn't call anything on Detroit and they just did whatever the hell they wanted the whole game. It was pretty bad. But for me in that game, it was just that the Canadiens didn't have a lot of offensive drive. They were pretty even in terms of like puck possession, getting to the net, all that stuff. But their own offense was very hesitant. And tonight, that wasn't the case. I find you can tell what kind of game the Canadiens are going to have offensively really early based on how shooty they are in like the first 3 or 4 minutes.
Yeah, it's pretty. Yeah, you can see the kind of, I guess, like the pace, or not the pace, but the juice that they want to play with, in terms of you have a first few good shifts that it really does dictate the rest of the game a lot for the Habs. I think also at least like since mid to late mid-December, really the second period voodoo kind of seems to be more or less like quashed,
Gone.
where they can kind of put together full games. Like if they're not playing well, they're not going to play well in the second period either. But if they're coming out with that juice in the first, it's not slowing down quite as much in the second. And I think also a big part of that is they do have two top lines that they can actually go to if one of them is struggling as well.
Yeah, they don't seem to have that like foot off the gas pedal thing now. And that I'm saying that in a game where they blew leads.
Yeah.
Against the Canucks, right? But I don't think they blew leads because they were playing bad. Like I saw some folks being like, oh, they were playing like pond hockey out there. I don't think that's true. I think they just didn't get a great goaltending performance. And we'll talk about that in the second segment, which we're going to shift to quickly here. But first, we got to tell you about a new idea from, well, it's not necessarily new, but it's new to this show that Jordan wanted to test out with us and see how it goes. We want to do a player of the week for the Canadiens here on Game Over Montreal. So what we wanted to do is at the end of every first period of Game Over, we're going to ask you, the chat, while the advertisement is playing, to spam the chat with who you think is the Canadiens player of the week this week. We're going to tabulate the votes as the games go on. And then at the beginning of the following week, we'll do like, I don't know, some sort of segment and we'll tell you how, like what percentage of you voted what way, all that kind of stuff. We'll keep track over the year and maybe we'll do like a player of the year at the end of it too. Like there's all sorts of stuff we could do with it, but mostly we want your participation, your votes. That's what we want to hear. Who's the player of the week for the Montreal Canadiens this week? So Jordan, take it away.
Yeah, well, for this week, a few pretty good options, but I think there's only one choice. A few of you in the chat already have it, but and we're going to include last Sunday's game because this is the first stream of the week. So it's like the first stream of the week and then including the Sunday before. Um, and Jack Eye versus the Red Wings.
He was great.
I mean, that's fair. Or Jack Eye for 4 periods. If you include the first period today, but I think it's got to be Alexandre Texier.
Yeah, dude's been unreal. I mean, he definitely deserves some kind of accolades right now. I know that he got it on RDS when he had his hat trick, and he got to do the little sign in the camera thing, and you could see his reaction. I was chatting with Marc Dumont on the weekend about how he went from like hating his life in St. Louis, Missouri, and we were trying to like put it into context of like this guy from France goes to like the murder capital of the United States, just like Hickville, USA, and is miserable, hates it there. And then he gets to go to Montreal where he gets to speak his own language, gets to play on a team on the rise instead of a team that's sucking and plans to suck. And it's just rejuvenated him to a point where he's playing the best hockey of his career. And this is not the first time that this has happened with these Montreal Canadiens, the Kent Hughes, Martin St. Louis Montreal Canadiens, where it seems like players come here and rediscover their love for the game. And what can be more positive than that?
Yeah. King of the North, 16 points, 24 games. Yeah. In the last 5, he's got 8, 4 goals, 4 assists. He's been a catalyst on the first line. I mean, what a waiver pickup. Are we serious right now? What a waiver pickup that Montreal has made, and finding your love for the game. That's so huge for this guy. I am so happy for him. And I'm happy for this team that you can you have a plug and play guy that is gonna put up 16 and 24 right after a waiver pickup. And now, I mean, how can he not be a long-term piece of this team? When you just picked him up on waivers 2 months ago.
Yeah, King in the North says Paul Byron 2025. It does kind of feel a little bit like Paul Byron. He's got that like magic to him where he's just making impact plays over and over again. And now that he's playing on the PK and effective there too, it's like there's layers of effectiveness that he's bringing to the game. But let's switch over to the second period here quick. We'll hear from Le Saint Motel, who is our sponsor, bringing us the second period, and we'll be back on the other side with Game Over Montreal.
While you're browsing Inchu Bijou's goth shop, head next door and discover Montreal's most unique selfie studio. Whether you're looking to take some banger pics of your Halloween costume or cosplay, or you want to make some memories with friends, Le Saint Motel has you covered. Experience their bombastic decors that are always changing, hop in the ball pit, and take advantage of their extensive and flexible on-site lighting. Head to lesaintmotel.com to book your time in the studio, book private time where you and your friends will be the only ones allowed in, or book the space for an event. The dedicated, caring staff will make sure that you have a good time. I do have one warning for you before you book. If you have kids, they won't want to leave. Whether you're at Le Saint Motel or Inchu Bijou, tell them Game Over sent you.
Welcome back to Game Over Montreal. I am Andrew Berkshire. I'm here with Jordan Hashi. We're talking Habs and Canucks. Well, not really Canucks. We're talking Canucks as a result of them being around, but they didn't really do that much that was interesting outside of getting dominated by your Montreal Canadiens. So we'll talk about some of the bad stuff about tonight. Not bad, not great. But we just wanted to touch again on the player of the week. We were just going through. There's a lot of votes for Texier. There's some votes for Slav as well, which I think is very fair. King of the North threw in Dobson, which also fair, and Jack, I got some votes as well. There's a lot to look forward to there, but I can't wait to keep this going and like tabulate it up because I'm nerdy. I like adding things up. It's like the penalty project that I'm doing right now for Habs Eyes and the Prize, which is getting to the point of the second entry, which I can't wait to share with people because it's interesting. It's very interesting. And one of the things that I've been enjoying, because I could have gone the route of like building a scraper and just pulling all the information or trying to find a different way to just grab it. But I've been going through game by game and like manually looking through how games evolve. And I enjoy it because you get to like kind of take the temperature on every team that you're tracking. You're going through every game, seeing the ups and downs of their season, where things went right, where things went wrong, including a game that I saw when I was tracking it between Tampa Bay and Florida, where there were 28 roughing calls, just roughing. 28 roughing calls in one game. So I didn't watch the highlights, but I wonder what happened there, because that's a lot of roughing calls. And it was all 3 periods. There were big brawls that had a bunch of roughing calls, including several guys got double minor roughs in the second period and then double minor roughs in the third period. And the refs didn't eject them. The game was totally out of control. It was a weird one, but I like seeing that stuff. It's fun.
You're right, King of the North. They did go to the dog park with all the roughing. That's ridiculous. I mean, those teams hate each other, and Florida's like the worst team in the league. So
yeah,
that's
they're
fair.
they're so dirty. They're so dirty.
Yeah.
But we wanted to talk about some of the negatives tonight. The biggest one for me was Jakub Dobiš. And I'm not trying to trash him. I want to make sure that everybody knows I genuinely really enjoy Jakub Dobiš. I really enjoy watching him play because he's a very entertaining goaltender, but he is having a rough time right now. The rebound control is out of whack, and there's a lot of like really out of position reaching going on. And I just think it might be time for him to get the same situation that Sam Montembeault had. I'm not saying he has to go down to Laval forever, but I think he needs a confidence boost more than anything.
Yeah, I was thinking about that too through this game. Was it all 3 goals? At least 2 of them were brutal rebounds. Just brutal. They come
the
right
first
out.
2.
I think one of them was in his chest.
The first 2.
One of them was in his chest, and he let it out, and that went in. And not great. And then in the third, he also had a play where he was 20 feet out of his net. He took a flight home and then came back to his net mid-game. And it almost went in, but I think Matheson saved it or something, and or somebody did. And Jack was knelt down behind him to block the 5-hole, and Jack, who was behind him, was too far out, or like was further out than a goalie ideally should be. So that tells you a little bit how far he was. But when this guy's on his game, he's playing with flash. He's playing with, pizzazz. He's erratic in his net, but he's comfortably erratic. I think today he was uncomfortably erratic.
Yeah, and that's been the case for the last stretch here as well. David William in the chat says, I thought Dobiš was the best of the 3. He has the best win-loss record this season, but that is mostly due to, I think he won his first 6 or 7 straight games this year. And since then, it's been not as successful. Nice to get him a win tonight, but I think that the team got him the win tonight more than anything. And when a guy is swimming a bit, I think I saw that description in the chat as well. King of the North said swimming. I find you said he reminds you of Jake Markstrom at the World Juniors all those years ago. He reminds me a little bit of Marc-Andre Fleury, actually. Like young Marc-Andre Fleury. If you remember, he would have like these absolutely dominant stretches. And then there was even like midway through his career, he would get to the playoffs and the Penguins would just be undone because he would like lose his confidence and be swimming constantly. I remember one series against Philadelphia where the Penguins were just by far the better team. Like it wasn't even close. And the Flyers ended up winning the series because Fleury couldn't stop anything. He was just brutal out there. And I don't think Dobiš is that much on the struggle bus right now, but it's not pretty. And just for his development, I think he needs to play more and with a bit more support.
Yeah, I think we forget oftentimes. It's hard to because it's a competitive season, but we forget that most of the players on this team are need to learn. They need to get reps. They need to get better. They're developing. And it's the same really for Dobiš and Fowler, but I think Dobiš especially, he's a rookie. He's a rookie goaltender. He's still young, and I think a lot of it is a 3-man. I don't think it helps Dobiš that much because I do think he needs the reps. He needs to learn what line he can cross with his aggressiveness. I think that's with a guy like Fowler, he's more composed and is net very more positionally sound. I think it's harder to, or there's a bit less of a learning curve positionally for him, and it might not be so bad if he doesn't get as many reps early on. But I do think that with Dobesh, that's something that is a great idea that he needs to play.
He does. And like Fowler, like I feel bad for Dobesh, and I saw Outrage was saying they also feel bad when they have to say anything negative about Doby.
I agree.
Just don't have, but just not confidence in him right now. And yeah, I don't like saying negative things about him either, because I genuinely like the guy, and I love how he wears his heart on his sleeve. I know some people made fun of him for crying earlier this year when he lost his first game. I think it was in a shootout, and he was great in that game. But I like people who have their emotions out there, who show you who they are, and Dobesh does that. So I like him. And I saw Romelli says the 3-man rotation doesn't help any of the goalies. I would argue it helps Monty. He seems to like the situation for some reason. He excels when there's 3 goalies. He just does. I don't think he needs to play like the 50, 60 games a year. He's like a 40 game guy, and that's fine.
Yeah, I think if you can get Montembeault some good rest, that would be good for the playoffs as well. I thought we played him a little too much last year, but I know we needed him
Very much.
I know we needed him, so I guess you can't say it was too much, but like ideally, you wouldn't play him quite as much. 40 games is a 2-man rotation. I mean, not quite, because like most backups are playing games in the mid to late 20s typically. So like unless you have like a true 1A 1B, I guess, like, or not even 1A 1B, like a true rotation
1A 1A.
yeah, in the true meaning of the word, but not most goalie rotations are not a split.
Yeah, I think if the Canadiens, I don't want to write Dobesh off because that's not fair, but heading into next year, I actually don't remember if Monty is signed next year. I think he is. But if they went into next year with like Fowler and Montembeault playing like Allmark and Swayman in Boston a couple of years ago, the Habs are probably in a pretty good position.
Yeah.
Even if they did that this year for the rest of the year, I think they're in a pretty good position because it takes less pressure, or it puts less pressure on both, which is probably ideal.
Yeah, that's what Romelli just said too. Fowler and Monty both got 42. I'd go with that. I mean, that's fair, but actually it's 43 now next year.
No, it'd be 42 instead of 41, right?
Oh, yeah, you're right. Nope. Yeah, I was wrong. Damn, got me. Caught me.
The one thing that I've been thinking all year this year, while the schedule is just like beating me down, I'm so tired. I can't imagine the actual players.
It's insane.
Which tomorrow, by the way, is the Canadiens' 5th game in 7 days, which is crazy. It should not happen in professional sports, that many games in 1 week. That's crazy. But adding more games, that's what the NHL is going to do, eh? It's all right.
Yeah.
Super fun.
It's too much. I think the NHLPA has to be looking at this.
I hope so.
I
hope
so. This is just too much. I love watching it. It's great. But for the players' sake, man, every team is battered. And
yep.
Yeah,
I know. Romelli says the NHL had an 84 game season before. Yeah, but I mean, that was back in like the 80s when players were like Wayne Gretzky was taking 5-minute shifts and stuff. And, Guy Lafleur was still around taking a shift off, smoking a dart at the bench, like it was a different game than now where it's just crazy. And I know this year, the Olympic break has changed things as well, but this year's on pace to like destroy every record for man games lost to injury in the league, which is not good. Like there's just a lot of injuries right now.
Yeah, that's my main thing. Like 84 games, I don't like it either. But like if you extend the season, like they're taking off 2 preseason games for it, so it's like not that bad. But they're condensed. The season isn't longer, and they just missed 3. Is it 3 weeks? 3 weeks they missed, which is
2.5,
a lot.
Yeah.
Borber Shepard says, I think he has been mishandled by the coaching staff. He's been sacrificed to prep up Monty. Do you mean Dobesh?
Yeah, I think she's talking about Dobesh. I don't know. I don't think the 3 goalie rotation has been like mismanaged that much. I think that they were just in a situation where by the time they had tried to dig Montembeault out of his rut, Dobesh had also started to get into a rut.
Yeah.
So then they were kind of, their hands were forced. And I think all of them are better right now than they were like beginning of December. So it's moving in the right direction. And the Canadiens themselves are winning games. So I don't know.
Can't
I don't know. I
complain too
think,
much. Yeah.
yeah, they deserve the benefit of the doubt, right? The other two negatives for tonight for me were the Xhekaj and Goulet pairing. Not that they were like brutal or anything. I know Xhekaj had two high-profile moments on the second and third goal against where he was the GOAT, but I find in both of those moments, it was more Xhekaj trying to cover for Goulet than Xhekaj being necessarily bad. He wasn't great tonight. Neither of them were, but Goulet looked rusty tonight, and Xhekaj looked like he couldn't cover for that rust. It's not a big deal. I think they'll be better next game tomorrow, but not great.
Yeah. I thought Xhekaj was our best defenseman in the first period. I thought he had an incredible
He was
first.
good.
Maybe he was so good, and I think that, now that you mention it, on that first goal especially, where Xhekaj's backtracking, it looked like Goulet was going to grab the puck, and then neither of them communicated. That's what it looked
Yeah.
like to me. It looked like they didn't talk, and I think maybe Goulet's also not used to playing with Xhekaj in the first place, and he's just back. So, excuse me. So, and there's no practice time, by the way. So like they just miscommunicated there. I think Goulet, if there was proper communication, Goulet gets that puck and he gets there before Xhekaj does, or like before Xhekaj was supposed to, or he provides a safe outlet for Xhekaj there, but they didn't. They just didn't. They didn't quite. They didn't quite communicate, or they didn't communicate effectively at all. And then Xhekaj makes probably the worst play you can make there after he got to the puck, where he fires it blindly up the middle of the ice, and it ends in the net. And then Dobish let out a big rebound, but I mean, you can't. You can't blame Dobish on that.
No, I mean, you can't turn the puck over like that either.
Yeah.
I mean, and even on the second goal, like Dobish needed to control that rebound, but I feel like Evander Kane interfered with him. Like on the second goal, where Dobish he doesn't have it covered, but it seemed to me like Kane stuck his stick in there and like twisted Dobish down. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Dobish just fell, and he was like overreacting to stopping the puck and trying to find the rebound. But it looked like goaltender interference a little bit. I understand why they didn't challenge it, because it was outside the crease and
I'd
all.
have to watch it again.
Yeah, I do too. Romelli says he did a bit, but Dobish was outside the blue paint. Yeah. Yep. But again, can't fully blame him.
Yeah, I think if these two come back, Goulet and Xhekaj, just come back, say, okay, we got to communicate better. Doesn't matter how, like, let's talk. I think if they come out of this game with that, I think they'll be miles better heading into the future.
100%. And they were so good. Like, they were the best pair against Detroit, I thought. And Xhekaj was, especially in the third period where the Canadiens needed some energy, and he was out there just crushing people. I adored that he got Kane twice on one shift. Yeah. In like one play, actually, he hit Kane twice, which hit Patrick Kane as many times as you can. Not many people can. I know he's getting old now, but still, he's a slippery dude.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been very impressed with what Xhekaj has been doing, other than those mistakes. And the second one too, I said to the TV as soon as he got the puck, don't turn the puck over at our blue line this time. And he gave it to the other blue line. I said, no, don't listen to me. So
oh God.
I was cracking up a little bit after. I was not very happy, but I was cracking up. And yeah, and I thought Xhekaj was gonna get benched, and like maybe a little, but he didn't actually get benched too hard, which I would say that's good. It means St. Louis still has faith in him, and I think he's rewarding his overall play besides those two mistakes.
Yeah. And that's what you want to see from the coaching staff, right? And I feel like that's practicing what they've been preaching, which is they're not necessarily looking at the mistake, they're looking at the choices that were made, right? Like if you commit a bad turnover, but you made the best possible play and it just didn't go against you, or like you made what would have been a good play, but you fumbled the puck, the Canadiens coaching staff is not going to bench you. because they're looking at your decision making, not necessarily your execution. They want you to execute at an elite level, but they want to see the decision making above the execution. The execution can come with practice.
Yeah.
Right. And that sounds silly at the NHL level, but I think the Canadiens have proven over the last several years that those folks who say the NHL is not a development league are wrong. And if you're not developing all the time, then you're falling behind.
Yeah. Have we considered him missing a shift as not a benching, but just Roby talking to him and giving him a breakdown? King of the North,
Yeah.
I think that's pretty fair. I
Yeah,
think that
very astute.
very possible, because if you want to have an extended talk for sure. But if you're on the third pair, like typically your minutes are a little more spaced out. But so I would say I don't know for sure, but I think that's a very, very plausible, and like just taking an extra shift just to make sure that he understands. Totally, totally fair. And he didn't only miss like one or two shifts. So I think that at least for this game, I think that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. All right, we are done talking negatives. We're talking positives now. It's on to the Slavkovsky line in our third segment. So if you're just joining us now, welcome to Game Over Montreal. I'm Andrew Berkshire. I'm here with Jordan Hashi. We are talking about the Montreal Canadiens beating the Vancouver Canucks, but also about our young company here, the Game Over Network. And if you really want, if you're feeling kind of cold as the winter continues on, I know it went from like +2 here in Montreal a couple days ago to -20 with the wind chill today. So that sucked. But if you need a hat, thegameovernetwork.com has you covered. We have all sorts of merch that you can check out, and we also have a Patreon if you want to throw us a couple bucks. We're trying to pay a bunch of people across this great country of ours covering hockey from a perspective that isn't just a bunch of 50, 60-year-old white dudes talking about grit and toughness and giving you bad insider reports, like saying that Lane Hudson wasn't going to sign in Montreal because, hey, every single insider this year said that. The weekend that Lane Hudson did sign said that there was big problems and that he wasn't going to sign. And I heard from a very good source that he was. And I put that out there and he signed like the next day. So yeah, insiders, useless. Cool, game over, folks. Fun. So support us. Screw legacy media. Build something new, because the world's going to shit. And if we don't create good stuff, then the bad stuff's just going to continue on and keep on getting worse. So support Game Over Montreal, support Game Over Network, and let's talk about Yuri Slavkovsky, Ivan Demidov, and Oliver Kapanen. Slav's up to 28 points in his last 24 games. He turned on the Jets in the third period today, and him and Demidov and Kapanen, like Matheson scored the go-ahead goal, but I feel like that line dominated the third period.
Yeah. Yep. I can say yes a million times, but what a period, what a game from these guys. Slav especially take over. I saw a few people in the chat saying, or maybe just one person saying, I think it was his best game of his career. I actually think it was the Tampa game.
Yeah,
But-
the Tampa game was good.
But he was incredible. I'm not going to take it away. Before this game, I said, or I was saying to myself, like, oh, Slav was going nuclear a few weeks ago, but since we came back from the break, he hasn't been quite as good. And then today, he just absolutely turned it up. And I think it comes with, you see the maturity in his game once again. The patience on that deals on Carrier's second goal, where I think a younger Slav would have tried to shoot it or wouldn't have made the perfect patience play to get around the defender's stick to make that pass. And you're so excited every single game with this guy, and he did it again. And this is a game you're gonna see so often when Slavkovsky hits his prime and hits his full peak, where he's developed even more on the mental side and a little more on the physical side.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, just the step that Slavkovsky's taken in terms of just leadership on the ice has been crazy. And I was joking on Blue Sky earlier during the game that it's like Slavkovsky and his two emotional support rookies. And someone pointed out that he's not even the oldest guy on that line. He's the most experienced guy, but Kapanen's actually the oldest guy. He's a year older than Slavkovsky. And I don't know if you've seen much of it. I've talked to a few people about it, but there's like a huge rift from folks about Kapanen specifically, about whether or not he's good or bad. And apparently a lot of people think that he really sucks. And he's getting to play with two players who are very much driving the line, even though he's the center. But what I've been noticing is, like, he's got good skills. He's not a perfect player, but there's two things about Kapanen that stand out above all else. Number one is he's always in the right position. Offensively, defensively, he's got the brain to know where to be on the ice. And number two, in the offensive zone, he's always ready to shoot. And he's always ready to shoot, which is especially important because Demidov is very unpredictable with when he's going to send the pass through. He's very sneaky, and sometimes it doesn't even look like he has a pass available, and then that puck gets fired through at extremely high speeds. And Kapanen's really good at getting stick on puck and getting it towards the net. Just those two skills alone, if he never develops further, will give him a long NHL career. But I'm excited to see what his development path looks like, building on those two main base skills with two very, very skilled players. I think he's come a long way in this season alone, and we've still got almost half a season left this year where he's going to get a lot more time with those guys. I think we could see him take a step beyond what we've seen this year very shortly.
Yeah, he has been a revelation this season. And you talked about how NHL is also a developmental league. You're seeing that firsthand with Kapanen because last year he was not even close to this player. And yeah, he did develop over in the SHL for a year for sure. But he has just blown everybody away. And what that means for this team is they are not forced to buy a center anymore. They have way more flexibility because of how good of a player Oliver Kapanen is. And in the future, I've said this before, but there's a chance that he is a legit 2C in the NHL. Based on his play this year, I wouldn't want to see some development for sure. But based on his play, based on his IQ, he can think the game at a very high level, and that already gives you a good chance. If he can just add one or two more quirks to his game, I think if he can get a really good shot, I don't think he has a great shot, but if he can somehow get a really good shot, I think that's will make him a top 6 player in the future.
Yeah, and it's funny, we talk about like he doesn't have a great shot. He is leading all rookies in goal scoring. Yeah. And like part of that is going to be because of who he's playing with, right? Like he has a phenomenal opportunity right now. And I feel like we haven't even talked about Demidov. I almost don't know what to say about him. I know that there was a comment earlier that was saying like he needs to shoot more on the power play. And I forget who said it. It might've been King in the North, said that if he could just figure out the Kovalev shot on the power play, he's going to score a lot of goals. And I've actually seen a lot of comparisons of him to Kovalev. And I can see it. When he gets on a mission and he just starts going through guys, I can see some Kovalev there. Even along the boards, when he does his like pull up along the boards and like the reverse to lose a guy, where he goes back and forth and uses his agility, he looks a lot like Alex Kovalev. I know that he's kind of fashions himself more after Evgeny Malkin, but Kovalev's not a bad player either.
Yeah, I unfortunately never got to watch too much Kovalev. I was too young.
Yeah, I can see that.
but I did catch some games, and I still see the clip once in a while when he scored with his helmet off, and that was fun. But yeah, it's he was so good, man. Every period I just like write notes, whatever pops into my head, I kind of just write it down, and all 3 periods I've got Demidov, nice move, Demidov, whatever, and the one play that I think of is he's in the high slot and he just undresses a guy and rips one.
Yes.
And he didn't score. Did he hit the post, right? Or no?
It might have hit the post. It might have just gone wide too.
Okay. Someone hit the post anyway in this game. And that was just an incredible play. And I'm like, this guy's 20 years old, 19 years old. How is he so good?
Yeah, this is probably the worst we'll ever see from Demidov.
Yeah.
which
And we
is
said that
nuts to think about.
we said that last year about Hudson too, and frankly, Hudson looks better.
Yep.
So I'm just so excited for the future with these guys, and Kapanen fits that line like a glove. And at least for now, I say give him a couple years runway with that line, and if he doesn't develop into a very good into a true top 6 guy, then you can play him on the third line and you can go to bed happy. But for now, give him this chance because he is playing up to it. He deserves it. Give him the chance, and then it just adds a layer of security to the long-term future of this team.
Yeah, 100%. There's so many things going well for this team. All right, let's finish up the third segment there. We'll transition. So if you've got questions, pop them in the chat right now. I've seen some throughout the show. We'll try to get to ones that if I can scroll back and find them. But if you've asked one that I haven't answered, just type it in again, and we'll get to it. All right, we're in overtime now on Game Over Montreal. I'm Andrew Berkshire. I'm here with Jordan Hashey, and of course, our amazing friends here in the live stream chat. King of the North, Ramelli, Bernardo Sunier is here. I didn't see you earlier there, Bernardo. I'm glad to see you here. Nothing is perfect from a Canucks fan says, thanks for letting us have hope for the first 2 periods. It was fun while it lasted. Man, I know it's dire straits out there in Vancouver. I feel like nothing is worse than watching a team slowly blow apart a decent core. Like a core that could have been built into something better. And when you've got, I know that Besser is still there now. I think he resigned, but there was all those rumors last year of him leaving. And then you lost Bo Horvat a couple years ago. You've lost Quinn Hughes now, and Pettersson's there, but it seems like nobody's ever quite happy with the guy. I'm sorry, Vancouver. It's not a fun scene over there. Although at least you live in a great city. You're right by the ocean. You have that with you. Yeah, Ramelli says nobody talks about him, but I think Blaze is the perfect fourth liner. I have also really liked him.
Thank you, Ramelli. I love Samuel Blais. I love this guy. He's my new, honestly, one of my favorite players on this team now. He is just so perfect as a fourth line. The depth that this team has been able to acquire is ridiculous because he is technically our 16th forward. Okay, maybe not quite.
Well, who all's out? 14. Newhook's out.
Newhook,
Line A, Anderson.
Anderson.
So 5. Yeah.
And Veleno's ahead of him. So
right.
16th or 17th.
No, more than that, because he's 12th right now. Add 5 to that, he's 7th.
Oh, you're right. Oh my. What,
I mean, I guess you could say Beck is lower than him, but
yeah, he's 11th. Yeah, and I just think the physicality is there, the compete is there, and he's I would say a relatively smart player. I haven't seen him make any mistakes or any bad mistakes. He hits like a truck. I think he leads the team in hits since he started playing for sure. He is just so amazing fourth. You know how the Bell Center claps at good random plays? That's every single time Sammy Blais has a shift, I want to just clap because I love this guy, man. I don't know why. He's a hockey player, and I love to see it. I would rather take Veleno out than him.
Really? See, I've really liked Veleno of late. I think since he got shifted to center, he's really improved his game. Now, he's not creating any offense, but I actually enjoy when he goes Veleno mode, once a game, and just dekes out 4 people out of nowhere, and you're like, where did this come from? But I find he's been connecting plays really well and keeping plays alive, playing pretty well defensively. But what I like about Blais is he's so heavy. He just plays a heavy game. And there was a moment in the third period tonight where Veleno was chasing after a loose puck going into the offensive zone, and a Vancouver defenseman was trying to use body position to keep him out, and he reached back and kind of elbowed Veleno in the head. And Veleno kind of got rocked, not rocked, but he kind of lost his focus for a second and veered off, and Blais was right behind, and he just followed the Vancouver guy to the boards behind the net and leveled him. And it wasn't a dirty hit. It wasn't it was from behind, but it was a controlled hit from behind, but he pasted the guy into the boards. And I love that he's like, took a number, got him immediately after one of his guys takes a little shot. I love that stuff. And I feel like teammates appreciate that stuff too. And I know the Bell Center does. And I can't imagine what it's like for him as a Quebecer to be getting cheers at the Bell Center. And frankly, putting up pretty decent point production for a fourth liner since he was acquired by the Canadiens.
Yeah, and there's a lot you can really say about him because he actually has been that good. I saw someone said they've spent a lot of more time in the offensive zone, the fourth line, and I definitely agree with that. Just that the forecheck's relentless, and especially because you said Veleno's starting to find his game. I think he's realizing that his speed is a real asset, and I think he's using it more effectively as of late. Just in terms of like covering space, and I think as a center, covering space is more important, and I think that's why you said uh, you've liked him more at center, and I think that makes sense. With Veleno's skill set, and you hope that he can, keep playing as well as he has because again, just he would be like him playing that well is a luxury to have up in the press box, and I just like Blaze so much that that's why I would take him out. But obviously you take out Beck first, and then but there's two forwards that should be back soon because hopefully Anderson, we don't know what's up with him, but I think Evans wasn't supposed to be too long as well, and the Doc is skating,
Yeah.
so you've got decisions to make here, and I think there's also a good chance you lose Blay on waivers. There is one thing I want to mention before I head it back to you. There's so many games on the schedule. Do you even keep two forwards in the press box?
You might, and the thing about Blay also is he's not going to have an ego where you scratch him for a stretch and then you can throw him back in and he'll probably just give you the same game anyway. Like he's not a guy that I think you're going to expect him to like fall into a rut because he just plays a very simple, honest game. And those kinds of guys, maybe they're not going to push you towards like winning a Stanley Cup, but in a season like this where every team is dealing with so many injuries and you kind of have to have like I forget which GM was talking about it in an Olympic year. They said that you need to have like 25 regulars in an Olympic year just to like get through the season, which is nuts. And the Canadiens have managed to do that. Ramelli says I even forgot Bolduc in the list up there because he was saying like who should sit, but I got, oh my God, Bernardo. I just saw Bernardo Sauni's question in the chat. That is violent, man. If you could only have one to build around, who would you pick, Hudson or Demidov? Why would you ask that? Hudson.
Yeah.
I might regret that later.
I won't regret it. I will not.
You're going Hudson as well?
Easily. Well, not easily.
Man.
Not easily, but I can't not. No, Hudson, but I will cry. Yeah, he's just too good.
He is too good. Damn, that is mean.
That is
Luckily,
tough.
we don't have to choose. And in fact, they get to go out there together on the ice. And when they do, they just play keep away, and it's hilarious. Keeler says, why would you do this? You're a sicko. Yeah. And Ramelli's also asking some hard questions. Says, Doc, Newhook, Texier, Veleno, Line, Anderson, Galley, Blay, Evans, and Deneau. One of those plays in the first line with Suzuki and Cole, and the rest fills the third and fourth line. Who sits and who plays? Yeah, it's really stacked, right? Like, you got to think everyone healthy. Evans is probably playing over Veleno on the fourth line. So Veleno is probably out just because he's been so much better at C than at wing. I don't think they're going to scratch Brendan Gallagher. I don't think they're going to scratch Josh Anderson either.
No.
Newhook, Doc, Texier. Man, there's too many guys. I do think looking at this list, like Deneau and Evans are 100% lines 3 and 4 centers. I think Line A doesn't have a spot.
No, not anymore. There's too many good players on this team.
Yeah. And the problem with Line A is outside of the power play, he just doesn't give you enough.
Yeah.
The defensive problems are too severe and he kind of just tanks lines. He can't play on the fourth line. Like, he just can't play that role. And I don't think the Canadiens have the players to insulate him. Like, I don't know, maybe he could play with Deneau and just like be a passenger with two players who can carry it and he can fire some pucks in, but I just don't see
I'd
an
rather
easy
not,
spot
though.
for him.
You'd rather not.
Yeah, I know.
With just how many
Yeah.
guys there are on this team, you'd just rather not at this point. Also, there's no room for Bolduc, man.
I know.
Even I wanted him to play, but if Newhook is healthy, you are absolutely not taking Newhook out. Doc goes to the first line, and then if Doc doesn't play well in the first line, whatever, you can just throw Texier back up there. It's fine enough for this year. And then Danault, Evans, and then Anderson plays with one of Evans or Danault. And then Texier plays with one of Evans or Danault. So then there's 2 more spots. But one of those spots is Newhook, so there's only 1 more spot for like 5 players.
Yeah.
Who are real NHLers. And you're going to give it to Gallagher because he's Gallagher. And
Yeah, he's got the veteran presence and the coaching staff trusts him. Bernardo or King of the North, who was it there? Sorry, I missed it. Somebody was saying that you're not going to get anything for Laine in a trade. If you can retain salary, because he's expiring this year, right?
Yeah.
In the summer.
Yes.
You might get a taker for a team that needs a power play boost going into the playoffs. You're not going to get a huge amount. But the nice thing about that situation for the Canadiens is they didn't pay a huge price for Laine. In fact, they were paid to take him. They lost Jordan Harris, but they got a 2nd-round pick. So I think they could move Laine and not feel bad if they don't get a huge haul. Like they could get exactly right. Like that's already your win for that. But man, there's too many guys.
Yeah, this
and
team
like
is
you're gonna
insane.
have to move guys just for the salary cap. And I think Laine's contract specifically, if he comes back, they're gonna have to move that. They just don't have the room.
King of the North said Laine to Laval. That would be hilarious, man.
Could you imagine, like, last year, he's like, I've rediscovered my love of hockey in Montreal. And they're like, yeah, okay, bye. AHL, dude.
I don't even know if he would get claimed because of the contract either.
I don't think so.
Maybe it will. There's a few teams that have a ton of space, so maybe, but
Yeah.
But why would they take
Man,
him
that would
if
be
they-
embarrassing.
yeah. Veleno can go to Laval. Yeah, he might get claimed though. There's a lot of teams.
I think Veleno gets claimed.
There's a
with
lot
how
of
he's
teams.
played recently, I think he gets claimed. He's too good not to be claimed, I think. King of the North says, Laine on a line with Tyler Thorpe and Florian Jack. Let's do it.
My goodness.
I mean, that would probably wreck shit in the AHL. All right, folks, I'm having so much fun with you, but it is late. It was a late start. It's almost midnight here in Montreal. So we're going to close it out here. Thanks to Jordan for joining me here tonight. Can't wait to continue having him as part of this organization, and can't wait to be back here tomorrow for the Montreal Canadiens taking on, who are they playing tomorrow? I don't even know. Washington. Oh, no.
Yeah, I know. I'm not happy about it either.
Washington in your 5th game in 7 days. All right, Habs. Give us a great one again. Just like get some vengeance for that playoff loss that still burns a little bit because I feel like they deserve better. All right, we'll see you tomorrow. Later, guys.